The Orion expanse had always been quiet. For centuries, that region of space was known only for its wandering dust clouds, drifting asteroids, and the faint light of distant stars. No great civilizations claimed it because there was nothing of value there. No rich minerals, no habitable planets, no important trade routes. The expanse was a void between empires, a forgotten corner of the galaxy. That was why the Coalition fleet noticed immediately. When something entered it, Admiral Selthar of the Cavor, Dominion leaned forward in his command chair as the sensors highlighted the object. His fleet, along with ships from 5 other civilizations, had been stationed at the edge of the expanse to monitor smuggling activity. They had expected long, boring patrols. Instead, their instruments now showed a vessel moving with steady speed, its course taking it directly across their patrol zone. "Report," Selthar ordered, his voice a low growl. His species was reptilian, cold-blooded, bred for command and war. Nothing usually surprised him, but this sighting felt unusual. The officer at the scanner spoke quickly. "Unknown vessel detected, Admiral. Size massive. Hull configuration unrecognized. No registry codes or alliance signals. Energy output unusual." "Unusual?" Selthar repeated. "Yes, Admiral. Its reactor signature is dense. More compact than any Coalition design. It does not match any record in our database." The other fleets opened their channels. The insectoid Valar commander clicked in agitation. It must be a derelict. No civilization builds such crude unmarked ships anymore. Look at the design. It is a floating block of metal. Inelegant. Primitive. Selthar narrowed his golden eyes at the display. The ship did look strange. Most galactic civilizations built vessels that were sleek, curved, adorned with banners and emblems of their empires. This one had no markings at all. Its shape was simple, long-armored, every line screaming function over beauty. There were no decorative fins, no glowing panels of prestige, nothing to display pride or heritage. It was as though the ship had been built for only one purpose: endurance. But there was something else about it, something unsettling. The fleet surrounded the intruder at a safe distance. Hails were sent in every known language of the Coalition. No response. "Not even static. This is suspicious," hissed the Valar. "Perhaps it is an ancient war relic. We should destroy it before it becomes a threat." "Not yet," Selthar replied. He was cautious by nature. If it is truly ancient, its technology may hold secrets. If it is new, then someone has built it without our knowledge. Either way, information is valuable. The fleets closed in tighter, weapons armed but not yet firing. The unknown vessel did not change course. It moved as though the Coalition ships were not even there. Far inside the strange vessel, Captain Elias Grant stood on the bridge of the United Earth ship Resolute. His face was calm, but his mind was calculating. Around him, human officers worked at their stations, quietly reporting updates. "We are surrounded, Captain," said Commander Ruiz, his second-in-command. 6 fleets, different civilizations, weapons charged. "I see it," Grant said, his voice steady. "Any attempts at communication?" "Yes, sir." "They're broadcasting in multiple frequencies, using several languages. Our translation systems can catch pieces, but not all." Grant tapped the console beside him. "Keep listening. Do not respond yet." The Resolute was humanity's first true interstellar warship. It had been launched not as a vessel of conquest, but as insurance. Earth was young compared to the rest of the galaxy, barely beginning to stretch its reach beyond its own system. But history had taught humanity that peace was never guaranteed. The Resolute was a message: if danger came, humanity would not face it unarmed, now that danger had arrived sooner than expected. "Captain," said the tactical officer, a young woman with sharp eyes. "Coalition ships are locking weapons. No direct fire yet, but they're preparing." Grant folded his hands behind his back. "Maintain our course. No hostile action unless fired upon." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. The alien fleet dwarfed their single warship, but Grant's voice carried a confidence that steadied them. The Resolute was powerful, yes, but its true weapon was its crew's resolve. Back in the Coalition command chamber, confusion spread. "It ignores us," the Valar commander spat, mandibles clattering. "It does not fear our guns." Another commander from the aquatic Thalassy Dominion rippled its frills in unease. "Perhaps it does not understand us. Or perhaps," Selthar said slowly, "it does not care." The word sent a ripple of silence through the communication channels. For the first time in generations, The Coalition faced something they could not easily classify. Every new civilization they had discovered before had approached carefully, displaying symbols of submission or requesting dialogue. This ship had done neither. It acted with quiet confidence, neither hostile nor timid, but utterly indifferent to their superiority. Selthar felt something deep in his chest, a strange chill. It was the same feeling his ancestors had described when predators appeared in the dark. He ordered his ships to scan deeper. The results only deepened the mystery. The vessel's hull was impossibly strong, layered with alloys that defied analysis. Its power core radiated energy on a scale larger than anything the Coalition had designed, but without instability. It carried weapons, yes, but their signatures were hidden, shielded from normal detection. This was not a derelict. It was not ancient. It was alive, crude, and deliberately built. Impossible, whispered one commander. No known civilization in this sector has such technology. Selthar's claws tightened around his chair. Then we face an unknown, and unknowns are dangerous. Inside the Resolute, alarms chimed softly. Coalition fleet tightening formation, Commander Ruiz reported. They're boxing us in, Captain Grant nodded. His gaze never wavered from the main display, where dozens of alien ships glimmered against the void. Their designs were varied, sleek insectoid vessels, shining aquatic forms, armored reptilian cruisers, all united in their aim to corner the human ship. They want to test us, Grant said quietly. They don't know who we are. What do we do, Captain? Ruiz asked. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed tension. Grant finally spoke, his words measured. We introduce ourselves. Open a channel. The bridge fell silent. Every officer knew what this meant. First contact, Ruiz activated the comms. Channel open, sir. Grant stepped forward, his voice carrying across the void. This is the United Earthship Resolute. We mean no harm, but we will defend ourselves. The words echoed, translated into galactic speech through the Resolute system, and transmitted to the Coalition fleets. On the alien bridges, silence followed. The translation units confirmed the message. United Earthship, Resolute. The words Earth and United meant nothing in their records. The Coalition's vast databases contained millions of star systems, yet none matched this Earth. Admiral Selthar leaned forward. What civilization is this? How do they speak our tongue with such clarity? They must have been watching us, another commander muttered. Studying us in secret. Or, said the aquatic commander softly, they are something entirely new. The Coalition ships wavered. Fear and curiosity spread in equal measure. In all their centuries, no unknown had ever dared speak with such calm authority while outnumbered. Selthar's eyes narrowed. The galaxy was changing, and this vessel was the herald. For the next hours, the fleets shadowed the Resolute, but neither side fired. Tension filled the void, heavier than the stars themselves. The aliens whispered among themselves, debating whether to attack or parley. Inside the human warship, the crew held their stations, calm but ready. The Orion expanse, once forgotten, now became the stage for an encounter that would echo across the galaxy. A single ship, built by a young civilization unknown to the stars, had arrived without fear. And though no shots had yet been fired, the galaxy would soon learn that humanity's arrival was no accident. It was destiny. The standoff in the Orion expanse stretched on for hours. The Coalition fleets kept their formation tight, weapons glowing faintly as a warning. The human warship Resolute continued forward with calm and steady movement, as though it had no fear at all. Admiral Selthar sat in silence, watching the strange vessel on the display. He was a seasoned commander of the Kavor Dominion, a veteran of many campaigns, and he had learned long ago that silence from the enemy was not always weakness. Sometimes it was confidence. Sometimes it was danger. He turned to his officers. Run another deep scan. I want every detail of that ship. The sensors hummed and data scrolled across the displays. Alloy composition unknown. Energy output unusually dense. Weapons configuration shielded from normal scans. Crew estimate uncertain but alive. Selthar tapped his claws against the armrest of his chair. Not a derelict. Not an automated probe. This ship is alive. It is crude. On another channel, the insectoid Valar commander clicked angrily. It dares to declare itself, yet it does not show its power. It hides behind vague words. We must strike and break it before it spreads fear among our soldiers. The aquatic Thalassa representative disagreed. No. A single ship that moves without fear while surrounded is not to be underestimated. They said they will defend themselves. That suggests ability, not weakness. The debate spread across the coalition command channels. Attack, investigate, retreat? Each species had its own instincts. Some were quick to aggression, others cautious, others curious. Selthar, however, remained still. His instincts told him one thing. This was not an accident. This ship had come into the galaxy for a reason. On the Resolute, the tension was thick, but the crew held steady. Captain Elias Grant stood tall at the center of the bridge, his eyes fixed on the display where dozens of alien ships hovered like predators waiting to strike. "Status?" he asked quietly. "Shields holding steady, sir," reported the tactical officer. "Weapons ready, but no lock-on. Their fleets have not yet fired." "Good," Grant said. "Patience is our ally right now." Commander Ruiz stepped closer. "Sir, they're scanning us heavily. They want to know what we are." Grant allowed himself a faint smile. "Then let's give them a little demonstration." "Passive, not hostile." Ruiz nodded. He understood. Within moments, the Resolute's systems shifted. Panels across the ship glowed faintly as the energy output rose. The warship began to rotate slowly, revealing its armored hull to the coalition fleets. The humans did not hide their strength. They showed it openly. Massive missile bays were revealed. Railgun emplacements aligned along the sides. Energy cannon ports glimmered faintly, humming with restrained power. The Resolute was no merchant vessel. It was not a transport ship. It was a warship, through and through. The reaction among the coalition fleets was immediate. "By the stars," whispered one officer. "It carries more weapons than an entire squadron, and yet it moves alone." Fear spread quietly through the ranks. No civilization built such a ship without reason. To see one appear from nowhere, with no history in the records, was beyond unsettling. Selthar narrowed his eyes. "Impressive. But are they as strong as they look?" Without waiting for approval from the other commanders, the Valar fleet leader gave a sharp order. "Fire a test volley. Let us see if their words are empty." The attack came swift. A single pulse of plasma energy shot across the void, striking the Resolute's side. The coalition fleets expected the human ship to shudder, perhaps to flare its shields, maybe even retreat. Instead, the human warship absorbed the strike as if it were nothing. Its shield shimmered faintly, then steadied. No damage, no panic. The ship did not even slow. On the Resolute's bridge, the impact registered as a soft vibration through the hull. Minimal effect, the tactical officer reported calmly, shields holding at full strength. Captain Grant's face remained calm. "Return demonstration. Target their command ships. Non-lethal precision." "Yes, sir." The Resolute moved with sudden speed. Its railguns rotated, locking on with impossible accuracy. A thunderous ripple echoed through the void as projectiles launched at near light speeds. At the same moment, energy beams fired in narrow bursts. 3 coalition flagships shuddered. But instead of being destroyed, each was hit in just the right spot. Engines disabled, weapons powered down, shields disrupted. The human fire had not killed them. It had merely neutralized them. The galaxy had never seen such control. On the alien bridges, shock spread like wildfire. "They could have destroyed us," one officer whispered. They chose not to." Selthar's eyes widened. He understood the message. This was not weakness. This was not bluff. The humans had just demonstrated complete superiority and restraint. Inside the Resolute, the crew exhaled slowly. The bridge remained calm, but there was a quiet energy in the air. They had made their point. Commander Ruiz leaned toward Captain Grant. "They know now, sir. We're not to be trifled with," Grant nodded. "Good, now we talk." He signaled the comms officer. "Transmit again. Keep it clear." The human voice carried across the channels once more. "This is the United Earthship Resolute. We came in peace. But we are not defenseless. We will not fire unless attacked. You have seen our capabilities. We ask for dialogue, not war." The coalition fleets trembled in confusion. In all their centuries, they had never faced a species that spoke with such calm confidence, while proving its power so clearly. Most new civilizations begged for mercy when confronted. This one stood firm, unshaken. The aquatic commander finally spoke. "They disarmed our ships with precision. No species fires with such control unless their weapons and training are beyond ours. The Valar commander, who had ordered the test strike, clicked nervously. His arrogance had evaporated. They could have destroyed me, my entire fleet, but they did not. Selthar leaned back slowly. His instincts confirmed his fears. The galaxy was facing something new. Something dangerous, but also disciplined. He opened a private channel to the other commanders. This Earth is no forgotten world. They are prepared. They have built this ship not for conquest, but for survival. That makes them unpredictable. We must decide, do we welcome them or do we fear them? Meanwhile, rumors spread quickly among the coalition crews. Soldiers whispered to each other. They fought with one ship against 6 fleets. They turned aside a volley as though it was nothing. They could have killed us, but they chose mercy. The galaxy's balance of power had always rested on the idea that all civilizations knew each other, measured each other's strength, and understood the rules of engagement. But now a new player had appeared, one that no one had predicted. The question on everyone's mind was simple. How many more like them exist? On the Resolute, Captain Grant finally allowed himself a moment of thought. He looked out at the endless void, at the fleet still surrounding them but now hesitant to move. "Mark this day, crew," he said quietly. "The galaxy knows us now, not as victims, not as supplicants, but as equals." His officers nodded, pride rising in their chests. Humanity had always feared what awaited them in the stars, but in this moment, standing firm against overwhelming numbers, they had proven that Earth would not be a minor voice. It would be heard. Hours later, the fleets held their positions, uncertain of the next move. Neither side fired again. Both waited, measuring, thinking. But one thing was already clear. The first contact between humanity and the galaxy was not a surrender, not a negotiation of weakness. It was a declaration. The Resolute had revealed itself, and the galaxy was speechless. The Orion expanse had never been so alive. For centuries, it was only dust, asteroids, and silence. Now 6 alien fleets and 1 human warship hung in that void, locked in a standoff that could decide the future of countless worlds. The Resolute floated like a mountain of steel, calm and steady, as if it belonged there. Around it, the coalition fleets shimmered with lights and power, their weapons glowing, ready to strike. Yet no one fired. Not yet. Admiral Selthar aboard his flagship felt the weight of the moment. His golden eyes studied the human ship again and again. The more he looked, the less sense it made. One ship, yes, but built with care, power, and purpose. Every line of its hull, every hidden weapon, every calm movement told the same truth. This vessel was no accident. The other commanders argued endlessly. "We should crush it now," hissed the insectoid Valar leader, his mandibles clicking in anger. "Do that and you will risk your entire fleet," the aquatic Thalasi warned, their voice smooth like flowing water. "It is only one ship," another alien said with disbelief. "We outnumber it 100 to 1, but Selthar kept silent. He knew numbers did not always mean victory. He had seen predators in the wild, alone, small, yet more dangerous than an entire herd. This ship gave him that same feeling. Inside the Resolute, the crew waited for the inevitable. They knew the coalition would not simply let them pass. Something was coming. "Enemy formations tightening," reported the tactical officer. "They're preparing to engage." Captain Elias Grant stood calmly at the center of the bridge. His voice was steady, his posture unshaken. "Hold our course. Do not fire unless I give the order," Commander Ruiz frowned. "Sir, they're itching to test us again. They think we're bluffing." Grant's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll show them we're not." The first shot came suddenly. A barrage of energy beams flashed from the coalition ships, slamming into the Resolute's shields. The void lit up with blinding light as plasma and particle fire struck again and again. On the human bridge, alarms chimed, but the shield status remained strong. Shields holding at 98%. The officer called out. "Minimal strain." The crew steadied themselves. They were being attacked by fleets from 6 civilizations, yet their ship stood tall, almost untouched. Grant gave a single nod. "Return fire. Precision only. Show them our reach." The Resolute came alive. Railguns thundered, their projectiles streaking across the void with incredible speed. Energy cannons flared, releasing concentrated bursts of light. Missile bays opened, releasing sleek projectiles that darted between enemy formations like hunters chasing prey. But this was no blind fury. The humans did not aim to destroy. Every shot was careful, measured. Coalition warships suddenly went dark as their engines were disabled. Others spun helplessly as their weapons were cut off by surgical strikes. Communications arrays shattered, leaving fleets blind. In less than 5 minutes, a dozen of the most advanced ships in the galaxy were crippled, yet not one was destroyed. On the Coalition channels, panic erupted. They're disabling us. They could kill us all, but they're sparing us. No one has this level of control. Admiral Selthar leaned forward, eyes wide. His claws dug into the armrest of his chair. He had never seen such firepower used with such restraint. These humans could cripple entire fleets, but they chose not to end lives. This is worse than destruction, he muttered to himself. This is dominance. The Valor commander, his pride wounded, clicked angrily. We cannot lose face. Rally the fleet. Overwhelm them with numbers. But fear was already spreading. Many ships hesitated to move closer. Their crews had seen what one human volley could do. No one wanted to be the next target. Inside the Resolute, the atmosphere was calm, almost too calm for the chaos outside. The crew moved with precision, voices steady, eyes focused. Enemy fire weakening, the tactical officer reported. Many ships withdrawing. Good, Grant said. His voice carried across the bridge, steady and clear. They now understand. We do not need to destroy them to prove our strength. Commander Ruiz looked at him. But sir, they'll see this as even more frightening. Mercy with power is not weakness. It's control. Grant allowed himself a faint smile. Exactly. The galaxy was watching. Beyond the expanse, transmissions carried fragments of the battle to distant systems. Traders, scouts, and hidden observers spread the story like wildfire. A single unknown warship stood against 6 fleets and prevailed without killing. In starports and capitals across the galaxy, leaders and citizens whispered the same question. Who are these humans? Back on Selthar's flagship, silence fell after the chaos. Dozens of ships were disabled, others shaken, and still the human warship floated calmly. Weapons now at rest. They have proven their point, Selthar said at last. They do not bluff. They are exactly as strong as they claim. The aquatic Thalassa commander spoke softly, and perhaps stronger. They fought with precision we have never seen. The Valar leader, humiliated, hissed in frustration. We must retaliate. If we let this stand, the entire galaxy will see us as weak. Selthar shook his head. No, the galaxy will not see us as weak. They will see them as powerful. His words silenced the others. None could deny the truth. On the Resolute, Captain Grant stood tall as his officers reported the status. Shield stable. Weapons cooling. No major damage, the tactical officer said. Grant turned to Ruiz. Send another transmission. Ruiz nodded, opened the channel, and the captain spoke once more. We are the United Earth ship Resolute. We ask again for peace. We did not come to start a war, but we will defend ourselves if forced. You have now seen what we are capable of. Decide wisely how you wish to continue. His words echoed across the fleets, translated into alien tongues. Among the coalition commanders, silence reigned. Each knew that further battle would bring only humiliation. They had witnessed not just weapons, but discipline, strategy, and control unlike anything in their records. The galaxy had its rules. Strength usually meant conquest. Mercy was often weakness. But this new civilization had shown both together, and that combination was terrifying. On alien worlds far away, people gathered around transmission screens. They saw the human warship, alone yet unbroken, facing fleets and holding its ground. Many felt awe. Some felt fear. Others felt hope. A voice began to whisper in the minds of billions. If one ship can do this, what else do the humans have? Captain Grant knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy now had its first true impression of Earth, and that impression was unforgettable. As the Resolute turned slowly in the void, the stars reflected across its armored hull. Humanity's message had been delivered, not through speeches but through action. The demonstration was complete, and the galaxy would never forget it. The battle was over, but the silence that followed felt even heavier than the clash of weapons. The Resolute floated calmly in the Orion expanse, its shields glowing faintly from the fight. Around it, dozens of coalition ships drifted in disarray, Some were crippled, others were frightened, and all were shaken. The void that had once been empty and quiet now carried the weight of history. For the first time in centuries, the coalition of empires had been forced to pause, not by another empire, not by an old rival, but by something none of them had ever heard of before: humans. On his flagship, Admiral Selthar sat in deep thought. His reptilian eyes scanned the display again and again. One ship, one single ship, had stood against 6 fleets. It had not just survived, it had controlled the entire battle. It had chosen mercy when destruction was an option. That kind of strength was beyond anything Selthar had seen in all his years of war. The other commanders were restless. The insectoid Valar leader snapped angrily, his mandibles clicking. "We cannot leave this unanswered. They humiliated us in front of the galaxy. We must demand their surrender." The aquatic Thalassy commander rippled their fins in calm disapproval. "Surrender? Did you not see? They cannot be forced to bow. They had us at their mercy and they spared us. That alone shows their strength." Selthar leaned forward. "Enough, they are not like us. That much is clear. We must learn who they are, or we will never understand how to face them." The coalition agreed reluctantly. Messages were sent to the Resolute demanding answers. Who were the humans? Where did they come from? How had they built such a ship without the galaxy's notice? On the human bridge, Captain Elias Grant listened to the translated messages. His officers watched him, waiting. "They want to know who we are," Commander Ruiz said. "They're afraid, Captain. They're curious too, but fear is leading them." Grant nodded. He had expected this moment. Humanity had planned for it long before the Resolute was built. "Then it's time," he said. "Open the channel. Let them hear us." The bridge fell silent as the transmission opened. "This is Captain Elias Grant of the United Earthship Resolute." His voice carried across the stars. "We come from a world far from your maps. We are called humans. Our home is Earth. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. But we are not defenseless. We are survivors. And we are explorers," the words echoed across the alien ships. "Earth," Selthar whispered the name, tasting the strange word. "A world not in our records," the Thalassy murmured. "A hidden power, perhaps. They must have lived in silence, building in secret." But Grant's message was not finished. "For thousands of years," he continued, "our species struggled on our world. We fought hunger, storms, disease, and even each other. We learned to survive with little. We built tools, machines, and cities. We crossed oceans, climbed mountains, and reached for the stars. Every step we took was hard. Every victory cost us dearly. But we never stopped moving forward." On the bridge of the Resolute, his officers stood taller as they heard their captain speak. This was not just a message to the aliens, it was a message to themselves, a reminder of who they were. Among the coalition commanders, unease grew. Selthar leaned back, thinking. They were forged in struggle, he realized. Many galactic civilizations had been born on gentle worlds, with abundant food and mild climates. They had grown in peace until they reached the stars. But these humans, their world had been a crucible. It had shaped them into something different, the insectoid commander hissed with unease. "They speak of survival, not conquest. But survival breeds desperation. Desperation makes them dangerous." "No," the Thalassy corrected. "Survival makes them strong. Did you not hear? They endured storms, disasters, scarcity. That explains their ship. They prepare for the worst because they have lived through the worst." Selthar said nothing, but in his heart he knew the Thalassy were right. Back on the Resolute, the crew received the next question. The coalition wanted to know how humans had built their warship without being seen. No new civilization was supposed to grow so quickly. Grant replied calmly, "We may be new to the stars, but we are not slow learners. On Earth, our history taught us that safety is never guaranteed. We built this ship before we even met you. We built it because we knew that the universe could be dangerous. We hoped for peace, but we prepared for war. That is who we are." The alien fleets listened in silence. Selthar felt his chest tighten. He had commanded fleets for decades, and he had seen countless civilizations rise. Most young races stumbled into the stars like children, unsure and cautious. But this one, this humanity, had walked into the galaxy armed and ready. And worse, they had expected danger. "Unthinkable," whispered one of his officers. "They built a warship before even joining the galaxy." Selthar closed his eyes briefly. To him it made perfect sense. A race forged in hardship would never trust fate to protect them. They would carry their shields before they needed them. Rumors spread through the coalition fleets. Soldiers whispered nervously. They fought like veterans. They built a ship strong enough to face us all. What kind of world creates beings like that? The whispers traveled faster than the ships. Soon, across the galaxy, traitors and spies carried the story to every empire. Humans, a new race, unlisted, unmeasured, unknown, had appeared with power and discipline no one expected. In the coalition's private council, the commanders debated endlessly. They must be watched. The insectoid Valar leader snapped. A species that thinks of war before peace is dangerous. Or they must be welcomed, the Thalassii countered. A species that knows hardship may also know the value of peace more than any of us. Selthar listened to both, then finally spoke. His voice was heavy but clear. You both misunderstand. It is not about war or peace. It is about difference. They are not like us. Their path was harder, their instincts sharper. They do not fit into the galaxy's order. That makes them dangerous, yes, but also necessary? Necessary? The others demanded. Yes, Selthar said. The galaxy has grown complacent. We have lived in comfort for too long. Perhaps these humans remind us of something we forgot. Strength is not in numbers or wealth or titles. Strength is in survival. On the Resolute, Captain Grant ended his transmission. He gave no threats, no ultimatums, only truth. We do not want enemies, he had said, but we will never again be victims. That is the human promise. The channel closed, leaving silence. But the silence was not emptiness. It was filled with thought, with fear, with respect. The aliens finally understood what made humans different. They were not the most advanced, not the oldest, not the richest, but they were the most determined. They did not enter the galaxy asking for permission. They entered ready to survive it. The void of the Orion expanse held that truth like an echo that could not fade. The coalition fleet slowly began to retreat, unsure of how to face this new species. No one dared attack again. The galaxy had seen the weapons of the humans, but now it had seen something greater, the mind and spirit that built them. The difference was clear, and it was unforgettable. The Orion expanse had grown quiet again, but it was not the same silence as before. Before the Resolute had arrived, the expanse was forgotten space, empty and unimportant. Now it was the heart of the galaxy's greatest rumor. A single human warship had stood against 6 alien fleets, fought them with precision, and left without defeat. That story spread across the stars faster than any ship could travel, and with the story came questions. Who were the humans? Where had they come from? And most importantly, what did they want? On his flagship, Admiral Selthar watched as the Resolute finally turned away, leaving the battlefield behind. He felt a strange heaviness in his chest. He had faced many enemies in his lifetime. Most were predictable. Most followed the same logic of fear, conquest, or defense, but the humans, they were different. They carried strength like a shield, not a blade. They showed restraint, but also courage. That balance was rare in the galaxy. His officers whispered nervously behind him. Some feared the humans, others respected them. But all agreed on one truth: nothing would ever be the same. In the following weeks, the galaxy erupted in debate. In the great halls of the Thalassii Dominion, their leaders gathered, their fins rippling in the water-filled chambers. The humans spared us when they could have ended us, one elder said softly. That shows wisdom. They are not conquerors. We should seek peace with them. But another replied, or perhaps they spared us to show their superiority. That is more dangerous than conquest. It means they want us to know how powerless we are. The council argued for days. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion was divided. In the Valar clusters, the insectoid leaders were furious. Their pride had been struck harder than their fleets. One ship cannot humiliate us, they cried. We must build stronger weapons. We must prove that the Valar are not weak. But even among them, doubt crept in. Their soldiers had seen the human precision. They knew the truth. Overwhelming numbers meant nothing if the enemy could strike with such accuracy. Fear gnawed at their pride. In the Kavor Dominion, Selthar stood before his rulers, reporting what had happened. The great chamber fell silent as he finished. One ship? The Kavor Prime leader finally asked. You mean to say one ship crippled an entire coalition fleet? Selthar bowed his head. Yes, and it could have done far more. But it did not. The chamber stirred with unease. The Kavor were a proud warrior species, but they knew strength when they saw it, and they knew restraint when it mattered even more. The Prime Leader sat back, his eyes thoughtful. This Earth, perhaps it is more dangerous than any empire we know, not because of its weapons, but because of its mind. Meanwhile, across the galaxy's free markets and neutral stations, rumors spread like wildfire. Traders told the story in every port. They say the humans' ship took a volley from 6 fleets and barely blinked. They say they disabled a dozen warships without killing a single crew. They say the humans built their warship before even joining the stars. For every person who feared the humans, another admired them. Many whispered with awe, perhaps they are the kind of allies we need. Perhaps they are the ones who will challenge the old empires. The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, buzzed with uncertainty. On Earth, news of the Resolute's encounter finally reached home. Humanity had always wondered how first contact would go. Would they be welcomed? Would they be ignored? Or would they be crushed? Now they knew. The images of their warship standing alone in the void, surrounded but unbroken, filled Earth with pride. People gathered in cities and towns looking up at the stars with new confidence. They were no longer just dreamers reaching into space. They were participants in the galaxy stage, but they also knew the truth. The galaxy was not safe. It was watching them, measuring them, deciding what to do about this Earth. And so humanity prepared again. The Resolute was not the only ship they would build. Others were already in construction. The galaxy would not catch them unready. Back on the Resolute, Captain Elias Grant stood on the observation deck, staring into the endless darkness. His reflection glimmered against the glass, the stars beyond stretching into infinity. Commander Ruiz joined him quietly. Sir, the galaxy is watching us now. Some fear us, some respect us. Some may even want to destroy us before we grow stronger. Grant nodded slowly. I know, that was always the risk. But better they see us as we are than imagine us as weak. Ruiz hesitated. Do you think they'll come after us? Grant's eyes narrowed as he looked into the void. Some will, but others may come to us. They've seen our difference. They know we don't conquer, but we don't bow either. That will draw allies as well as enemies. A small smile touched his lips. And that's enough. Humanity doesn't need to rule the galaxy. We only need to survive it. And in survival, we excel. Far across the stars, in secret halls of power, leaders whispered carefully about their next steps. Some plotted to learn human technology, to copy it, to prepare themselves. Some plotted to watch Earth closely, waiting for weakness. Some wondered if perhaps, just perhaps, these humans were the kind of strength the galaxy had long forgotten. In every plan, one fact remained. They could no longer ignore Earth. In time, the phrase spread across the galaxy like a quiet storm. Humanity has arrived. It was spoken with fear in some corners, with respect in others, and with hope in a few, but it was spoken everywhere. The coalition fleets that had once tried to test the strange warship would forever be remembered as the first to see the truth. Their defeat without death was a story no one could silence, and the Resolute itself became a legend. A single ship that had left the galaxy speechless. Admiral Selthar in his private quarters wrote his final report. He chose his words carefully. The humans are not to be underestimated. They are not to be provoked without thought. They are not to be ignored. They are different from us, shaped by hardship, driven by survival, yet capable of mercy. That difference may one day save us, or it may one day destroy us. But whatever the outcome, I believe the galaxy will never be the same. He paused, then added one final line. And when history remembers this moment, it will not remember our fleets, or our names. It will remember them. Humanity. The stars remained silent, but the silence was no longer emptiness. It was expectation. The galaxy now knew a new truth. A young race from an unknown world had arrived, carrying both strength and mercy in equal measure. The balance of power had shifted. The old empires had been warned, and far away on a small blue world called Earth, people looked to the stars and whispered to themselves with pride, "We are not alone anymore, and we will never kneel." The Resolute continued its journey, its engines glowing softly as it moved beyond the Orion expanse. It did not boast. It did not conquer. but it carried with it a message that echoed across 1,000 worlds. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, and the galaxy was listening.